Jeremy Brown spent 20 years serving our country in special operations for the U.S. Army, where he specialized in unconventional warfare, which is probably one of the reasons why the FBI came to his home and tried to recruit him to be a part of their January 6th false flag against peaceful American protesters. After going public with video evidence of the FBI visit, Jeremy Brown was arrested on trumped-up charges and sentenced to 7 years in federal prison. I recently interviewed Jeremy about his new podcast, Fusion Cell. Here are the highlights.
Everybody knows something's going on. There's just some of us who have a much better knowledge of what's going on than others. But, the reality is that America is an occupied country. Our savior is not going to be somebody who's popular, who's rich, who is successful in the ways of the world right now, whether it's Elon Musk or whether it's Donald Trump. A politician is not going to save us. We need to start realizing that we are the answer to these problems. In essence, America has become a nation of cowards who will only tell you what they believe if they can get 3/4 of verification that you agree with them. And this is not the country that our founders established, and it certainly isn't the way they established it. And until we start to stand up for our own beliefs and principles and not rely on these manufactured heroes, these superheroes that are given to us by the media, well, then we're never going to fix the problem. Tyranny is not coming. It is already here. AI is just simply another weapon in the toolbox of those who seek to control the world. And that's all it is. I mean, the reality is that they want way fewer of us, but they know that they like all the things that we contribute to the world, and so they have to have some type of replacement, and AI is one of those replacements. And they've told us that this is what they want through the dystopic pre-programming of Minority Report and, Total Recall. I mean, you ask kids and they're like, yeah, no, I'm good with that. If I could just be in the video game all day long with the woman in red, I'm fine with that. And this is the problem. This is why there's no will and no appetite for liberties. The true threat is the institutional information dominance that has led multiple generations into believing these massive lies and being okay with them. This is the problem, that people have been conditioned and uneducated and miseducated into not even caring. You have confused women because there's no men. You have confused men because they've been bashed by a society, right? Then you have our kids being sexually mutilated. I mean, it is such a mess, and for the most part, people are okay with it. And to be honest, I think this country might be like a drug addict. But until you hit rock bottom, you're not going to change. And I'm afraid that that's where we are. It might take the spiraling into complete tyranny and totalitarianism in order for people to say, oh my gosh, we've got to do something. We're not going to change things by voting in rigged elections, by suing in corrupt courts, and by hashtagging on censored media. What is it going to take to get Americans in the street? Apparently, they might never end up in the street. I mean, hell, we might be all dead from nuclear war and cricket overdose before anybody ever gets in the streets. If they're going to survive this tyranny, if we're going to recapture America, because our republic's way, way far gone, and we're going to have to proselytize around liberty. And that is how unconventional warfare works. My God, America is a third world country that has to be recaptured under the banner of liberty. And it's going to be a lot of work, and we have to first start by identifying that the work needs to be done. No one wants to care about January 6th descendants or Jeremy Brown or this kid in Connecticut, right? But now that it's happened to Trump, now everybody cares, right? And see, we're never going to win that way. Why has it taken years and something happening to a single man who had the ability? I mean, he has billions of dollars. He could pay for all the January 6th defendants' legal fees. He told my elderly mother at Mar-a-Lago to her face, if I'm elected, I'll pardon your son. This is why I'm critical of President Trump. That's sacrosanct, right? You can't be, if you're critical of President Trump, you might as well be in the deep state. But see, that's the mindset that is plaguing this country right now. That is the two-party duopoly, the tyranny of two choices, psychological warfare that has been overlaid into the American psyche. It's not about one man. That this has been happening to Americans for years, and why hasn't that upset us? What these politicians do is not service. Service is giving of yourself, not making yourself rich. Nobody cares. I mean, nobody likes it when I say standing armies are unconstitutional. This is the massive standing army military-industrial complex that the Constitution prohibits and that the founders feared, and yet you can't say that today because everyone thinks that the standing army has just been around ever since the Constitution. No. In fact, I think it was until World War I. Everything is completely out of whack because nobody knows anything about anything. Everybody needs to start paying attention to observations and making their own conclusions.
Check out the full interview this Sunday on my Substack. Jeremy Brown has started a new podcast from jail with several episodes coming out every week. You can find his channel on rumble.com, Jeremy Brown Campaign. Tune in and learn how you can serve our country. Jeremy Brown has been captured by the enemy and is still doing his part. What are you doing? Reporting for InfoWars, this is Greg Reese.